but I am trying my level best to managing the time. So I learned from you, sir. I'm saying truly, I learned from you the time management. You are involving in many activities. I know that you are busy a day. The day starts, you will be busy in many works as a missionary or as a pastor, as a bishop. Oh my God, you have many works. But the way that you manage the time is it is the matters there. But I don't know
Yeah.
how to. Can you give some suggestion like how to manage our time? Like how to follow the timing we can. How,
Yeah. I I think the biggest lesson you have to learn in ministry in managing time is when to say no.
yeah.
Um, because nobody likes to say no, especially if an opportunity is good. But
Mm,
the truth is, if you know what you can manage and you can't, then you don't say yes to everything. You know,
mm,
I've had to tell people no a lot, even when it really disappoints them.
mm,
And then once you know what you're saying yes to,
mm,
then you have to figure out your own work habits,
mm,
um, your own strengths, um,
mm.
and so you have to prioritize that. The other thing that I do every January, I set my goals for the year. What are the big things I want to accomplish?
Okay.
And then I try to look at my calendar at least for the next 3 months or 6 months. It's not always the whole year, but at
Oh,
least for the next 6 months.
oh,
And so from the goals that I'm setting and then my calendar for the next 6 months, I try to organize myself. What are the big projects I need to work on in January? What are the big
okay.
things I have to work on in February? And
Okay.
so once you start organizing those things, then you can start breaking it down into your weeks and then into your days. And so especially with school, like
Yeah.
when I start a new term in my master's, the first thing I'm
Mm,
doing is I'm putting every syllabus item, every discussion post, every chapter I have to read, every paper that's due. I'm putting those deadlines on my to-do list.
okay.
And then I'm identifying that, okay, reading these chapters takes about 30 minutes. Doing the
Yeah.
discussion post in the group takes 15 or 20 minutes. Writing a
Okay.
paper is going to take, you know, 20 hours of study
Yeah.
and research and 10 hours to write. And so
Yeah.
then I'll break it down that, in the time leading up to that is when I'll start putting my
Oh,
my time together. And
yeah.
and so then I also try to do certain things on certain days. So I pretty much know what I'm doing every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday. Um,
Okay.
I'll try to generalize it, but like for me, Monday is planning for the week. And so right now
Yeah.
that's making sure the Bible study is posted, the school group is caught up. It's figuring out
Yeah.
when am I having meetings this week? I'm meeting with Juliana with my admin, making
Yeah.
sure I know what's coming this week. So Monday is usually preparations.
Yeah.
Tuesdays and Thursdays are when I try to have meetings. I try not to have meetings, especially outside the office on Monday or Wednesday,
Yeah.
um, so that if I have to drive to town for meetings or whatever, it's always Tuesday or Thursday. Um, Wednesdays, I'm focusing on my classwork. Thursdays is my preferred day for meetings.
Okay.
Friday morning, I'm playing catch up, and then Friday afternoon, we have family time. And so, kind of general categories of I know what I'm doing
Yeah.
each day.
Yeah.
Um, and so then I can fill my smaller time slots so that I know, okay, on Monday, I've got to have a meeting with Juliana. I need to get this organized. And then, okay, I'm going to have 4 more hours in my day. That's where I'm looking at projects. Okay, I need to read this chapter. I need to do a couple of hours of research, or I
Okay.
need to record a video for a Bible study. And so, really, you have to have the bigger picture of what's important so that then you can break it down into smaller pieces.
Oh, it's
there's a
nice.
guy there's a guy named Michael Hyatt who
Mm.
talks about the 3 by 3 framework. And
Okay.
so he says you should always know what your three biggest goals or projects are for the next 3 months. So for a quarter of the
Oh,
year. What are your three biggest projects? Then you break that down into steps. And so then you start breaking it down into weeks. So this week, what are the three biggest things you have to accomplish? So one
Okay.
week it might be writing a paper if the paper is going to take the most time. One week
Yeah.
it might be, organizing a big ministry program or whatever. But
Okay.
whatever your three big projects are, you break it down every week. What are the three biggest things I have to do this week? And everything else is secondary. That you're not focused, whatever would be number 4, 5, and 6, you're not focused on until those first three things are done.
Okay.
Then every day on your to-do list, you have your big
Mm.
three things. That if I
Mm.
accomplish these three things today, then it's a
Okay.
successful day. Now, your daily to-do list might have 15 things on it, but though
Okay.
the first three big things should be fulfilling your biggest priorities. And
Oh,
so
okay.
what happens is if you have three big things every day, three big things you're focused on every week, three big goals every quarter, every 3 months, you'll end
Okay.
up accomplishing your goals faster because then you're building all of the other small to-do lists around those things. So
Yeah.
again, it's like you said, for me, I have 20 things going on all the time, but
Yeah.
you can only focus on 2 to 3 big things at once. So like
Yeah.
for me, the three big things I have going on right now, because I'm not writing a book, I'm not doing anything like that, but the school group is one, doing
Mm.
my master's is another, and then Sozo, and especially overseeing the Masiwe Church is the third.
Yeah. Yeah.
So every week right now, my three big things are what do I need to do for the school group? What
Mm.
do I need to do for Masiwe? So last week we were preparing for baptisms. For the school group, I'm working on the
Yeah.
Titus Bible study.
Yeah.
And then what do I have to do for my master's for this? Last week it was writing the paper. So those were
Yeah.
my three big things last week. Get the paper written, prepare for baptisms, and make sure the team there is coordinated, who's getting baptized, we need the certificates printed, all those things. And then making sure Titus and
Yeah.
everything was ready for the new week. So then at different
Yeah.
times, your three big things will change. Now, last week, I did a lot more than just those three things. But because I know those are the three
Yeah.
big things I have to accomplish, those got the most priority, and everything else was a lower priority.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. You've got to have the big projects in mind, the big things you want to accomplish in mind, and you put those things in first, and then add the small things. There's
Okay.
I don't remember who I've seen a number of people talk about it like this. But the story originally goes there was a professor who walked in to his classroom,
Mm.
and he had a big jar, and then he
Yeah.
had sand, he had small pebbles, he had bigger stones, and then he had a few big
Okay.
rocks.
Yeah.
And he said, if this jar is your life and all of these things are your to-do list, how do you get everything in the jar? And
Hmm.
people, well, you have the most sand, so put the sand first. Well, then you have this, and by the time the sand is in, and then you put the pebbles in, you can't put anything else. But what he showed them is if you start by putting those 2 or 3 big rocks, and then you
Okay.
come back to the small stones and shake it, they'll fit around the big rocks. And then you put the small pebbles and shake it, and it'll fit around that. And then you add the sand and shake
Oh.
it, and you can fit everything in the jar. But to fit everything, you have to start with the big stuff, not with the small stuff. Now, the problem is most people who aren't time oriented, they start
Oh.
with the small stuff. So,
Oh.
for instance, for me, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do almost every morning is I'm looking at my to-do list. What do I have to get done today? And figuring
Okay.
out the big things. So, like this morning, the first thing I thought about when I woke up is, okay, I've got to get schoolwork done today. I had a meeting in town today, and we had this Zoom call. Okay, so
Okay.
I know the three big things. Now,
Yeah.
if those are on my to-do list, then what do I have to fit around it? Now,
Yeah.
obviously, in the morning, I want to start with Bible study. I want to read my Bible and everything first, but I make
Yeah.
sure I have the big view of my day. People who
Okay.
aren't time oriented,
Yeah.
what's the first thing they do? Open your phone, check Facebook, check WhatsApp, check messages.
Yeah.
You start you check Instagram and then you watch reels for 30 minutes or 40 minutes, and then
Yeah.
you whatever you do, and so you end up wasting the first hour or two of your day and didn't get anything accomplished. And so really it's having a mindset of, I'm going to get these things accomplished,
Yeah.
and then once you have those big rocks in, then you can add all the little things. Does that make
Thank
sense?
you. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. It was
And
encouraging.
I can send you, I have a PDF somewhere.
Okay.
I can send you my goal planning worksheet. In fact, I probably
Please.
have mine.
Yeah. Please send me.
Because I've been working on my goals now all year, I haven't looked at it in a while.
Yeah.
So I keep my goal planning worksheet, and this has my goal planning for the last few years.
Oh.
But like, let me find a blank page because I don't always use the pages. So on every page, it has, and you can't read it, but it says the goal. What is the
Okay.
frequency of this goal? So like sometimes your goal is, I'm going to exercise 4 times a week. So it might be
Okay.
4 times a week. If it's, I'm going to write an ebook on discipleship, well, that's not a frequency goal. Like it's not a, you would have some goals that are habits, and you would have some goals that are deadlines, I guess you would say. So
Okay.
on some of the goals, here's the other page. This one says goal, what's the deadline and what's my reward?
Okay.
Like when I finish this, how are you going to reward yourself? How are you going to celebrate? It's something me
Mhm.
and Liz have been talking about, because my brain doesn't slow down to celebrate when I finish something. Like I saw a Facebook meme a couple of weeks ago. This
Yeah.
lady was talking to her husband. Her husband was saying, you finish a task and then you feel good about yourself, and it motivates
Mhm.
you to the next task. And she was saying, I don't have that. And I don't have
Yeah.
that either. When I finish a task, my brain is immediately, now what do I have to do? And I'm feeling more stressed that, okay, now that thing's done, but I've got to do the next one. So
Yeah.
you know, you need to reward yourself when you finish this goal. How are you going to celebrate the
Yeah.
victory?
Yeah.
And then there's a framework called SMART goals, but a guy I follow changed it to SMARTer. And he says a goal has to be specific, measurable, actionable, risky, time locked. It has to be exciting, and it has to be relevant. And so
Okay.
then under that, I have clarity and motivation. Why does this goal matter?
Mm.
And what's at stake if I don't do it? Why is this goal
Yeah.
important to me? And then if I don't succeed at this goal, what's at stake? Because if nothing's at stake, maybe it's not a goal worth doing. And
Yeah.
so, um, I so like if your goal is to get healthy, and you're I'm gonna lose 20 pounds in the next year, and I'm gonna eat healthy or whatever. Why does it matter?
Yeah.
Well, my health is important for the longevity of my life. What's at
Yeah.
stake if I don't? Well, I'm setting a bad example to my kids. I'm more prone to sickness. So why does it matter what's at stake? And then under
Yeah.
that, I have the breakdown. If like, what are the sub goals in order to accomplish this? What are the sub goals and the actions that I'm going to have to take? And then it
Mm.
has an accountability partner. Then on the
Okay.
other type of goals, I have your goal, the frequency of the goal, how often you're going to do it, what's your
Mm.
target. So if your target is, I'm going to drink 3 liters of water every day,
Mm.
how do you know you've succeeded at the goal? So I'll know I've succeeded if I do it for 90 days without missing a day, or
Yeah.
however long. So your streak and then your reward. And then again, why does it matter? What's at stake? And they'll break down a plan. So I can share that PDF,
Yeah.
and I can make a few book recommendations. And then
Thank you.
I can also share somewhere, I have kind of a 1-page daily planner that's based on that 3x3 framework of what are your big daily plans and those things. So I can share all that as well. I'll share
Thank
it
you.
in the group.
Yeah. Thank you. It was encourageable about the time, how to utilize the time, and how to manage the time. It was very wonderful. Thank you so much, sir, for the lesson